Another repair series video. Today we're putting a battery in a Infiniti G35. These are a little bit difficult to get to, but not terrible, very doable. I'm gonna show you today how to do that and just some tips on when you replace a battery, how to not lose your factory or your radio presets, your clock, you know, whatever else you have going on that the computer learns over time or that you program a body module to have set in it. Obviously if you remove the battery, all of those things reset, your trip odometer, all that. So hopefully this will be a quick video. Let's get into it. Hopefully this will be a quick video. Let's get into it. There are a few different ways to try to keep the BCM and the PCM powered on while you're doing the work. That is either through one of these. It's a double-end cigarette lighter. So this would go into the cigarette lighter and this end would go into a jump pack. It just keeps the PCM powered on. It's kind of backfeeding the system. Another option either plugs into a jump pack or has two clamps to clamp onto a jump pack. And you plug it into the OBD port. That powers it through the OBD system, which either way it all does the same. Quick side note, this version only works as long as the cigarette lighter is one that's consistently on. A good way to test that is if you have a phone charger port that has a light on it. Plug it in, turn the car off. If that light stays on, that port is active while the vehicle is off. Those are the kinds of ports that you can charge these through. If it shuts off when the car is off or when you open the door, I know Chevys I think keep the interior powered until you open the door. Those types of things you obviously can't use because they have shut off and then you will have wasted your time. Now in the Infiniti, there is no consistently powered charging port. So I'm fine with removing the battery power and letting the BCM forget all of its presets. This is my car. I'm not concerned about it. We don't really listen to the radio and the clock's pretty easy to set. I'm just gonna disconnect the battery and let it die. Anyway, let's get started. So obviously, first things first, remove the battery cover. You then have 5 clips to keep on this structure here, down there, where I have one missing. Up here, and then 3 across the top. Pop those out and pull that first piece out, and then you can remove this back panel. Said back panel, by the way, has 2 clips, one in the far corner there, and one tucked way in the corner back here. And there you have a fully exposed battery. Now, pull it out. There you go, an empty hole where there used to be a battery. I'd consider this a good time to try to vacuum that spot out, because you can see there's mouse nest and just droppings. So we're going to try to clean these up real quick. I think that'll help make good connection and prolong the life of the new battery. So when it comes to cleaning batteries, there's many options. There are things like this. This is from API or Auto Part International. I got this when I was in Nissan. I don't necessarily like this one, but I do like that it has a top-down brush, so you stick it over the terminal and can clean like that. This one's not my favorite. Things like this that are just a little brush cup, you stick down on the terminal, clean it off. This isn't really gonna help you with terminals though. So bear that in mind, this is to clean a battery. And then everyone's favorite, one of these guys. It has a post cleaner on the bottom, so you stick that down on the terminals, twist them around, clean up the battery, and then twist that, pop that out, and then you have a terminal cleaner. So this should clean out the actual terminal ends themselves. Good practice is to clean off the terminal ends, or in some cases the battery if you're keeping the battery, and then you spray it with some battery cleaner. Excuse the condition of these cans, they're a little bit old. You have battery cleaner, which is meant to fizz up and kind of break apart the chunks of acid corrosion that comes from the battery. Which by the way is a normal process of a battery. It doesn't necessarily mean that anything is wrong, it's just something you need to look out for with a battery and why you need to have cleaner and protector handy. Protector, of course, is for once you are done cleaning it. So once you've cleaned up your terminals, scraped off the big chunks, you've put on your cleaner and have broken apart all of the smaller chunks and washed away all of that acid corrosion, install the terminals on the battery, make sure they're dry, and then protect them. This should stop the corrosion from happening in the future. There's a number of different ways to do this. There's a bunch of different sprays you can put on. I happen to have CRC stuff. I like CRC stuff. There are, of course, things like this as well. This happens to be a BG terminal protector kit, which is basically just a fancier way of saying it's a little pad you put on the terminal. So you put this down over the post, and then you put the terminal end on the battery. And this is supposed to stop the corrosion from coming up through the battery, around the post, and creating the corrosion that you see. I don't necessarily have a preference. I got these when we worked at Nissan. Some customers didn't like them because they're really kind of tacky. Some customers didn't like the spray though because it covered the battery in different colored goop. The reality though is it may not look the prettiest, it's just to protect the terminals. Good practice. Well anyway, that's enough talking about batteries. Let's clean it up and install it. I do want to mention two things. One, this is of course corrosion caused by battery acid, so make sure you're not breathing in the dust that you're making. If you're in a shop or an enclosed space, consider wearing a mask. You don't want to breathe in battery acid corrosion. I don't necessarily know what it does to you, but I'm sure nothing good. And two, again, battery acid corrosion. Consider wearing gloves when you do this. It's important to follow the instructions on your own individual product. On this one, it happens to suggest leaving it on for a few minutes and then cleaning it off with water once it's done neutralizing the acid. At that point, it's safe to wash away. For things like the battery hold down that have corrosion underneath like this, these are beautiful for jobs like that. Pick up packs like this from Walmart or any sort of auto parts store for a couple bucks. They're very helpful, they're very useful, especially for cleaning things up just like this. Now you've cleaned it up, give it a quick little wipe down, just hit it with some black spray paint. Makes it look better, seals it in a little better. Now the temptation here, if you're anything like me, is to try to perfectly cover those terminals so you don't get any on the battery itself, but actually it's quite good to get a little bit around the post as well. Since the corrosion that comes up comes from the inside of the battery and works its way up out the post and around that terminal, it's good to try to seal that into the battery with some of this protector. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know 100% if that's true, but that's what an old man told me at Nissan once, and I really respected him, so that's what I do now. Now it goes back together the way you took it apart, and you're done. There you go. All done. Now we're gonna hop in the car, reset those settings, and just basically make sure the car starts. Kind of difficult to do this wrong. Put the red wire to the plus and the black wire to the minus. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that quick little video on how to do batteries. Pretty straightforward. I wanted to do it specifically on this car because it requires moving some bigger panels out of the way. It's not a huge deal. You just gotta make sure you don't break those clips. A lot of times they will be broken. The little tangs in the bottom are supposed to hold it in place. There are supposed to be 4 of these little tabs that when you push in the clip, they expand, holding it in place. When those break off and they look like this, you push it in and it dies because it's pretty useless. That being said, it helps to have a few of these on hand. I have a little bin in my toolbox full of them off of whatever other kind of jobs I did where there were extras, or one of my personal favorites off of parts cars. Anytime I have a car that is being parted out or is broken, or I find a good one at the junkyard, I'll take fuses from it, take clips from it. As long as they're in good condition, it's not worth saving junk, but as long as they're in good condition, it's good to save some of these clips because they're things that you would otherwise have to pay for a bundle of them if you only need 1 or 2. It's a bit ridiculous. That's a pro tip for you. That was free. Anyway guys, that's all I've got. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time.